Welcome to the Road is Dead podcast. I'm your host, Rob Curtis, and joined remotely, we have down a little south. We got
We're both south, so Tim Strelecki.
okay. I was trying to Tim. We have Tim, and then joining us remotely for the first time remotely would be
Leah Sanda.
well. Thank you for joining us, Leah. Let me remind you to get up to that mic as much as you can.
All right. It's in my ears.
There we go. Sorry about any of the sound quality issues in the last episode. It's really a crapshoot every time I do this. They have a little tool in here for AI for trying to balance the sound levels. It does a shit job. I'm sorry, guys, but it is what it is. First things first, to lead it off, tomorrow morning we have the Rough Road 100 race, gravel event, gravel race, however you want to call it, taking place down in Morris, Illinois. Anyone with any input as of yet?
I would say the only thing I can say, if anybody's curious, if they should already know if they're racing it, but the course is unchanged from last year. Other than I think we've lost one gravel sector that got paved. The conditions look like they're going to be super fast. Everything is dry. The wind conditions are going to be super favorable for going really fast. We're going to have a tailwind for what is traditionally the long 10-mile slog heading west. So it's going to be a fast race.
Nice. And then you rode it last weekend, I want to say, and you did the preview. Don't know if we mentioned it on the podcast, but there were a few limbs down and you had to do some cyclocrossing to get over some stuff. But it looks like from Sean Metz went and rode it again and sent us a picture of that being cleared, correct?
Yeah, so the trees that were down are cleared out. So unless something falls within the day or so before the race, the canal trail, which is the last 10 miles of the race, is clear, but there's always a lot of debris on that trail, like chunks of wood and sticks and stuff. So you still need to be cognizant of that. So you don't want to throw that into your spokes. So it's always a trick to figure out the line you want to ride through there if you're with a pack, because you don't want to run into something that messes up your bike.
I hear that. I know the last time I came through there, I was in a long line of riders and really couldn't see anything and just kind of trusted the riders in front of me. So that rings true for me. Don't know that I'm going to be doing that this year in terms of with the long line of riders, but good to note. Tim, do you have any advice? I assume you're not doing it, correct?
I will not be there now.
All right. Any advice?
No. Well, I would say it's a little bit like playing Frogger. I would say if you are a faster rider and you're approaching slower rider, or a group of, announce yourself as loud and as many times as you can before you get to them. Pick your line, stick to your line, don't deviate your line when you're passing them. You're going to be, if you're a faster rider, you're going to be passing at that portion, you're going to be passing people from all distances. So all different distances, all different ability levels, all different skill sets. So you're getting a mixed bag. So try to be patient. Don't be a dick like I would be. Be respectful. Everyone's got to get to the finish line. My train of thought is, if I yell at you 3 times and you don't move,
Jeez.
if I buzz you, that's your problem, not mine. I would say be careful if you're if you're like searching for the hard ground, which you can do on the I&M trail. Sometimes it's hard on the left, but then it gets soft and you want to switch over to the right. Be careful going across, the what is the center of the canal trail, because it can be full of debris, full of holes. It could just be a mixed bag and you don't know what you're getting into. That's why I always think that pre-riding it is good, even though it can change by the time you pre-ride and the actual day of the event. Pre-riding is at least good because you get a sense of what portion of the trail you need to be on at different points, and you can start making your way over there in advance instead of just like slicing left, slicing right. It's just be patient. Just be patient because, like Leah and you said, Rob, there's a lot of sticks and things. You easily get caught in your derailleur. Rip your chain off. You don't want to like come that far to have a mechanical that close to the end. So just take care of your stuff. If you haven't pre-ridden, don't stress. It's a straight line. It's pretty simple. And I would also say watch out and be careful of the big drainage ditch that is towards the end of the I&M canal. Everyone that's done it multiple times know what I'm talking about. It's that big concrete V
Yeah.
that you bomb into. You can go into it with a head of steam, but if you can't handle your bike and you go into it fast, you're probably going to crash. So be careful of that. There's no trophy. There's no get rad points. Just get through that nice and easy, continue on, and then, get to the end safely and have fun. Um, the favorable, yeah, it's going to be a different dynamic, Leah, if what you say is true. If it is in fact a tailwind assisted event, it's going to be a screamer. Um, so that said, if the pace is faster than you're used to and you don't feel good or you don't feel comfortable in it on a sketchy road, don't be in that group. It's not safe for anybody. It's not safe for you, and it's not safe for the people you're riding near. Because the one thing about rough road is, if you're chugging along at a good clip of steam, and you're on, a chip seal road or one of the gravel sectors, there are a lot of spots where big holes just appear, and if you can't see it and you nail one of them, it's going to be game over. You're gonna flip over the bars. You're gonna take someone else out. There's probably going to be 40 water bottles strewn out somewhere along the way. So keep your head on a swivel and stay focused in the sectors that require you to be full on focused. When you're out on the chip seal or the asphalt, it's like riding on any other road. It's fine. But when you're in the sketchy sections, pay attention.
Yeah,
For
they're
your
pretty pockmarked.
Yeah, for your safety and for those around you.
Usually getting into that one section, I don't know if it's the first one or not. I don't think so, but it's the one I think everybody thinks of, but it's pretty pockmarked and it always has tons of bottles strewn everywhere.
That is there's one that comes that the real bad one is the one that comes at like mile 7 or 8.
Yeah.
You make a right hand turn and everyone gets on the gas because it's the first like off-roadish section. So the pace just naturally accelerates. If you're towards the front, it accelerates, an easy 5, 10 miles an hour. And that one is just no matter where you go in the road, left side, right side, or the middle, there's always potholes. And they're always filled with water. And you never know how deep they are. So that's why if you haven't had an opportunity to pre-ride this year, even though in the years to come, make sure you get out there because every year the weather is different in the winter. The roads change. Some are maintained, some aren't. And it's just good to get it at least once, if not twice. Get that course in your brain so you know for your safety, if anything. Not to
Really,
try to win, not to try to win the race, just for your safety and your knowledge of what is out there.
really good advice. One thing to note too is the first time, keep in mind that the first time everybody hits the really rough sections, there are going to be bottles everywhere. Just be looking for them. There are not as many bottles in the other sections because people lost them. If they were going to get jettisoned, they're gone.
Fact.
So look for them early on, and a misplaced water bottle can end your day in a bad way.
And I
So
would say also if you get to so you get through that section, then you get to like I think around mile 18 is when Mine Road starts. It's that long westerly
long
section.
one, yeah.
That's usually pretty bad. It's kind of a false flat. It's usually into a headwind. It's usually pretty rough. The gravel there's smooth sections, but then there's deep sections of gravel, so it's kind of a mixed bag. Um, if you and then there's one section where you kind of do a slight little zigzag across one of the highways out there. That I think is It might be the cutoff, right?
Oh, for
For the
64.
mine,
56.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know we don't go all the way down it, but
Yeah.
we go
So
a hell of a long way and then we turn right.
if you're scheduled to race the 62 or ride the 62 and you get to that point and you're in a spot of bother or you're having a rough day, just turn right and go back, go home, call it a day. Don't subject yourself to the misery that will be ahead of you if you choose to suffer. Just call it a day. You're not getting paid to do this. You know,
It's
there's
it's kind of unfortunate though for where it actually falls because there's a long falls flat
yeah,
and it climbs all the way up to that turn and it's
yep,
not overt, but it's enough to make you hurt like you wouldn't believe after you've already
yep.
got some miles in you. If you've got to make the decision to turn there might be quite a few people making that decision, but that's where that turn is. So,
But
uh,
that advice is more towards the first timers to this event, the people that are newer to the gravel or the off-road scene. Um,
everybody else should suffer.
yeah, I mean the
Or
race.
anybody can have a bad day, be having a
Yeah.
bad day
Oh,
at that
trust me,
point.
there was one
Yeah.
year when I was like, I didn't even get there and I wanted to pull the plug, and I was like, no, I'll just stick it out because I'll be more miserable if I don't do
But
it.
normally that's because of weather, correct?
No, I was just on a bad day. Like the
Yeah.
worst, one of the worst days I've ever had in 45 years of cycling.
Well, most people choose to either engage with that or not engage with that race simply on based on the weather. I know
Absolutely.
I'm a fair weather guy, not totally, but more than many people maybe. I haven't really checked, but we're supposed to have a really good year this year, from what I understand. I am
Yeah, it looks
looking it
like
up
it's
right
going to
now.
be high 30s at the start with winds east southeast.
Oh, that's good.
So
That's a screamer.
and it'll be up into the 50s by the time you finish the long for sure.
One thing I will tell, another piece of advice I would like to give is do not overdress. Do not
Yeah,
overdress. You will be miserable 5 miles in and have to stop and take your clothes off. You don't want to do that. Because one of the years, I don't know what year it was, I overdressed severely and I was dying by like mile four.
real quick, what is the roll time?
The first field goes off at 8, which is the 100K USAC men.
All right, right now they're projecting 39 degrees at the start.
Yeah, so
Oh,
high
that's good.
30s.
That's good.
Yeah.
So that's basically 40s.
Yeah.
It'll be 44 by 9. So I see that
So
it's jumping
you're going to
5 degrees.
be chilly standing around at the start waiting for the start, and you're going to be
Yeah.
chilly when you first roll out. By the time you hit the top of the 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 bridge over the river, you're going to be warm.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And
If
if you know your time, if you're a 2 hour time or what have you, because I'm doing the short ones, I'll be 2.5 maybe. It'll be over 50 by the time you finish. So something to
nice.
consider.
Yeah, just go out everyone and have fun. It's a great local event that draws in a lot of experienced people and a lot of new people and everyone's, for those that have been in the lab over the winter, they like to showcase the strengths, and for those that haven't, they're in the building phase. Just
Yep.
go out and have fun. Nobody's getting paid to do it.
Nope.
All right.
I do think Craig, I don't know if Craig's listening to this, but I do think
I don't know if
he
he's
should
got
bring
time.
he should bring back, probably not. He's probably out on course marking it all and making sure everything's taken care of, which I'm sure he is. He should bring back the sub 3 hour belt buckle.
Interesting. I know he does a lot of I don't want to call it swag because it's not necessarily swag by its purest definition being
Yeah,
shit we all get. But he does a lot of marketing for the event. Does it very early.
yeah,
Has a lot of stuff that you either comes with your entry or or you can purchase when you're there, and it's always good quality stuff. He's got a really good
yeah,
eye for all that, in my opinion.
absolutely.
So I do appreciate it. And I did wear my Rough Road socks yesterday around the shop. So got that going for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Outside of that, input for me. Oh, I was doing my setup. I know we've talked about it for a bit. I had a new set of wheels I was going to try, a new rim that we've been working with, and I just didn't have time to get it built. So I went back to my reserve of going with my road wheels, 55D road wheels that were designed around running a 28 millimeter tire. And I went to mount up some brand new Challenge Getaway 40s to it. And I understand everybody in the world has said that, oh, Challenge tires are really hard to get on. And I usually laugh and roll my eyes or whatever because I have, as I've covered, one trait in this world, and that's meat claws for hands. And I don't really ever have an issue getting tires on or off, to the point where I don't know if you remember it, Leah, but very, very well known pro mechanic that's been servicing a pro for very many years, Carl, couldn't get just regular tubeless Challenge onto a brand new wheel build and ended up tearing up the tape like 8 times and brought him over to me on site, and I was able to do it, within an hour or two before their race. So very quickly and easily. In other words, I usually don't have a problem. I tried to get mine on yesterday. Actually, I started it 2 days ago. It took me well over a day to get them both on. I broke something like 10 brand new Pedro's levers. And I finally, right. I did everything. Yeah. I never used soap. I used soap. I never used hot water. I used hot water. I set them out in the sun. I used vice grips with a towel, like a microfiber towel wrapped over the tire itself. Used vice grips to pin the beads together and make sure it was down in the channel and wouldn't pop out. So that was my base point to lever against. I find one of them I was able to get. The other, I used every trick in the book 5 times and could not get it done. Ended up with a nice little blood blister on my thumb. Leah had to help me with the very last bit of it, and I had 2 levers going plus those vice grips holding it. Yeah, and I eventually got it on. And I had to set it out in the sun in order to fully seat it, and then come back and I had to double pressurize it. So I think they're rated for like 45 psi. I had to go up to like 90 on a 40 millimeter tire to get it to finally seat. So I got that going for me. Brand new though, they feel great. They're awesome. I did a ride on them yesterday, and I think I've mentioned I have zero. Just this year's been really weird. I have so many things are going on, and I just haven't. I don't have the miles in my legs. Not an excuse, but it just means I'm not going to be at the pointy end, and I'm definitely riding this. I don't want to say I'm going easy for it because I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use it for quote unquote training because we have Barry in a week. So got that coming up. I was kind of hoping to beat my time from last year at Barry, and that is not going to happen. But I will still give it a go because there's no point in half-assing it. Mm-hmm. So I will be out there. I will probably ride a slightly softer pressure, even though it's great conditions out there, just so I can be more comfortable and see what that does for me if it really is that big of a drag on me. So I'll be testing a little bit. As you pass me, say hello. I appreciate it.
Have a stack of business cards with you.
Or some stickers. Right. I should be able to go slow enough to be able to have a conversation maybe. We will see.
To tack onto something you just mentioned about tire pressure, for those of you who don't know, you should know if you don't. If you should know if you're, you ride outside in the cold. Your tires don't function in the cold like they do in the warm. So make sure you adjust your pressures. Don't run your 80-degree tire pressure.
Yeah.
Calculate the fact that you're, the cold does something to the sidewall of your tires and the suppleness of your tires anyway.
Speaking of which, I'm sure, Tim, you do your tire pressures from experience for the most part. Leah, you've used calculators. I still resort to the Silka calculator for the most part as a good starting point, frame of reference. Which one are you using now, Leah?
You know what? I usually run both of them and see what I get. And then I pick a pressure as I'm pumping it up and I'm kind of feeling the tire and I'm thinking, this feels about right. And it usually lines up with the wolf tooth.
Okay. That's so. Should I try that pressure?
I find the Silco to be a bit high.
Here's something you can do.
I like smooth. I know people think if it's harder, you're faster, but to
No,
me, I feel like smooth is faster.
a little softer is faster. Straight up. Um,
I would
I think
agree.
I just did a webinar last night for the Oz stage race coming up that I'm doing at the end of May, and it was presented by Vittoria, and they had one of the representatives from Vittoria on talking about like tire setup and choices and whatnot. And he was talking about pressures, and he was saying that he'll sometimes go to the Vittoria tire calculator, the Wolf Tooth tire calculator, and the Silka tire calculator and type all the exact same data in for everything that they're doing and see how like spot on each one of them are. And he said he was surprised that a couple times it's come up where each one of them, three different calculators have read the exact same thing and told them the same thing. So
Interesting.
they're pretty much spot on depending on who you prefer, what brand you prefer, or calculator you prefer to use. But I think to Leah's point, a little softer is better. Like,
I mean, for me, I'm running around 30 psi in my 38 millimeter Pathfinders.
yeah, I like my not that it matters, but I have 42 Pathfinders on and I go 25, 27. And
I'm.
that's
You're
like
42. You said.
yeah, I could let a little out, but that feels pretty good to me. It's not, it's like a comfort to where I'm not hitting like things on the trail or things in the road that are like I notice. That's kind of what you want. You want to just go over the bumps and not feel the bumps. Because in a longer event, that's gonna fatigue you, and that's extra energy you're wasting.
Mhm.
I'm going through this a little bit.
Keep in mind also, a little softer is better because later on in the course, if you're doing the long course specifically for rough road, you still got to get up Cujo Hill, and then you got to get up Cemetery Hill. Even though Cemetery Hill is concrete, it's very broken up concrete. And then Cujo Hill is obviously whatever disarray that's going to be in, and that's that steep
It
off.
wasn't.
Oh, really? That's good to know.
Yeah. I
That's good
I
to know.
I almost want to say I was like I thought this was supposed to be gravel.
Hmm.
Or I mean it was not what I remembered, and
No.
I keep questioning my memory because I thought I
Yeah.
remember that climb being pretty
Yeah.
nasty, and it wasn't. I
I
it
think it's
might.
it's worse making your way to it. The surface is worse making your way to it than the actual
Mhm.
climb itself. When you're
Yeah.
traversing through that little industrial slash neighborhood, whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
on the way to it, it's usually pretty littered with potholes and rough surfaces versus the hill itself. That's good to know.
Right.
That'll make a lot of
Yeah.
people happy.
It's interesting. So I didn't know Wolftooth had an app for their calculator. I downloaded it. I just loaded it up, and I just threw the same information in that I'd given to Silka a little bit earlier. I put that
Yeah.
it was mostly smooth gravel,
Yeah.
and it came up with almost the exact same recommendation that Silka did, which I was actually kind of thinking was kind of high for me. But I'm riding a 40, but I've got it kind of light bulby, because it's a narrower rim,
Hmm.
and it recommended 38 in the front and 40 in the rear, or 40 to 41 in the rear. I rode
Okay.
that on the trail yesterday, and it felt kind of weird, maybe a little hard. So I may change that a little bit.
Try 36, 38,
Yeah, I
37,
yeah
37, 38.
yeah.
A pound
So
is a big difference. You know
I
that.
will run that and get back to everybody. like anybody cares.
It doesn't matter whether they care or not. It's good knowledge for them to have because they might not know. They could go in there like, yeah, I got, be stupid like I was when I first did it. Yeah, Gator Skin 28, it's awesome. 75 PSI, let's roll.
Well, okay, so speaking of Gatorskin 28s, I do need to bring up that I do believe that Ryan Friend is going to be racing this. It'll be interesting to hear his input after the fact if I can. He's going to be riding his giant TCR, as far as I know, unless he's gone out and gotten a gravel bike in the last week or two. Giant TCR, he's going to be running 26, 28 millimeter tires, road tires. So, and even with all that in mind, I still have him in my mind finishing top 30 at least. Would be interesting to see how he does. So we'll be able to look at the results and post back, hopefully, after this is all done. Any other points on rough road or anything else to consider?
I have no idea. I wish I could give advice on the short course. I have no idea I've never done the short course there, but all my experience has been.
There's not much to it. It's the same course all the way up until that point we talked about where the turn is. Once you hit the turn, you're basically on roads, just heading north, and then you kick back east. As soon as you get up to where, there's a little, I want to say a little village or town, you kind of go through to get onto the to key into the beginning of the path, heading back.
I have some advice, and this is advice I've shared with a few people that have reached out to me personally, just on some strategies and tips and whatnot. But for the masses, long course specifically, or anybody really, let me start with the long course. So when you're coming, you've done the two climbs, you're on the backside of the course. When you've done Cujo Hill, you've done Cemetery Hill. Now you're just on the backside and you're rolling through those big long hills. There becomes a portion where you start to make your way to the I&M Canal and you dive down a big descent that you filter into a main road. That road is policed, so you shouldn't have to stop. The police always have a heads up. They always wave you through, stop traffic. It's
we've got that one.
It's very convenient because you're screaming. When you get off of that and you get on the flat and you're making your way towards the I&M Canal, that is your last chance, if you're smart, to get in as much hydration and as much nutrition as you can. Because once you hit the I&M Canal, if you don't have good control of your bike, you are risking it taking a drink, grabbing a gel, get all the calories in you can, put the bit between your teeth, and send it for the last 10 miles on the canal trail. Don't even bother trying to get nutrition out, because there's people coming up from behind you, calling it out, and you may just fumble a gel in your pocket and cut them off. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. I'm not saying that it will. My point is, get all your nutrition in as much as you can, or as much as you can stomach, before you get to the I&M Canal Trail, and then just go for it. Provided you're not on the back foot already at that point with your nutrition, because you're not going to make up for it anyway. Stay on top of your nutrition, stay hydrated, and go. Sorry, Leah.
I personally, I don't like having to reach for bottles in races like this where I want to keep my hands and keep control.
Yeah.
So I kept going back and forth between hydration pack or not. Um, I'm going to go with the hydration pack. Not because I need more water per se, but because I want quick and easy access to it, because I'm also going to shove a ton of calories in that. So I've got some high carb mix I'm going to put in it. That way I don't have to worry about trying to get a gel out and open it or deal with it. I may end up at some point where I'm kind of by myself, and then it would be a problem, but I don't want to, I don't want to chance it.
It's a lot easier to grab a nozzle that's just resting on your shoulder versus fumbling a
Yeah.
water bottle. And then you don't get
I
it back
mean,
in and you drop it.
so I'm not going to be one of the cool kids out there,
You're not,
sleek
I
racing.
get,
So
I
I'm
guarantee
just
you,
like, I don't care, man. I want those calories where I can get them easy.
half the field or more will have a hydration pack on. I guarantee you.
Yeah, sorry, I was reading into something that you guys reminded me of. But what were you saying about a hydration pack? That I'm don't use one there. I don't see myself using one there. I was just going to throw two bottles on the frame.
For the short distance, I don't think you need it.
Especially at that temp.
it's super important for me to make sure I get my calories for the long course. So I'm going to make it as easy as possible to get them.
Yeah.
You've given me that advice in the past, and that's led to at Barry Roubaix last year. I threw a gel in a bottle with water, had it on my frame, and then when we started, I had my hydration pack on, but my hydration pack was so musty that I couldn't even stomach the water coming out of it. And I thought I had cleaned it in advance, but apparently not well enough. It just had a flavor to it because I think I left the water sitting in there for a couple days before the race, and I could not stomach it. So that water bottle with the gel was the only thing I had to complete the whole thing. So thank you for that advice, and it saved my pants out there, that's for sure. But what I was kind of looking up and wanted to talk about was, I don't know if everybody saw this, but if you remember, Team Visma Lisa Bike has a hub that is an inflator, and it allows them to adjust their pressure while riding. And their team has been key in the development of this technology. The hubs themselves cost about $4,000 a piece, and it's why it never really became commercially viable. And the company behind it has declared bankruptcy. Did that about a year ago. That being said, Visma still uses this hub in training and in racing is the intention, specifically with Paris-Roubaix coming up this weekend. They were handed a decision like 3 days ago. So during the week of Paris-Roubaix, they were handed a decision that those hubs were banned. They were not allowed to use them. It has enough of an impact that Visma apparently has a head of technology on their team. Great position. I would love to have that position at some point. If you're a pro team looking for somebody to fill that role, let me know. Their head of technology said, does this change the chances of Wout van Aert winning the race? Absolutely, it does. That's their admission. So they're extremely pissed off about it. They said there's no accident that this happened at such a late hour and with such weak justification and communication behind it. It was basically just, no, we don't think those are legal anymore. So
that's how they make
food
all
for
their
thought.
decisions.
I know. Yeah, it's all politics behind the scenes. Some team with one of the other teams with a lot of money who's trying to get the win tomorrow or on Sunday, obviously influenced them to change their minds. And if I had to guess, it's going to be, either Van der Poel's team or Pogacar's team, one of the two. So, and considering who it is and what's going on, I mean, if it's Pogacar, it'd be UAE. The only way they're doing it is if they dumped a ton of money as a bribe on the back end, which isn't unheard of in this sport. Or it's odds are Van der Poel's team because he's local.
Even better. It'll make it even better when Mads wins.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
That would be awesome.
Takes both his broken wrists and flips everybody off at the finish line.
Yeah. Well, it's if Tade wins this, he will have won all 5 pillars within a year. So within 12 months was a stat that I heard somewhere. So that has never been done.
I mean, it makes sense that, I read an article that says he bulks up and puts on a lot of muscle for this part of the season and then sheds it, which is why he's able to just drop dudes like Van der Poel like nothing, because he's already got the physicality or the physical ability to climb superhumanly, and then you give this guy extra strength. Of course you're not going to stay with him. The climbs are what? They're only minutes long. They're not hours long like the Tour. He doesn't have to be light. He just needs to be strong.
Right.
And he's proving that. I just hope he's not dirty. I really do.
Yeah, well, I was talking with somebody the other day, and we both privately kind of just came to the conclusion of, it's just a matter of how many years are going to go by before we find out. And, you got to enjoy cycling in the moment and take it for what it is at face value, I think. The one era that I really couldn't do that in, late 80s, early 90s, I started to have a problem with it. And then the Froome era, I really kind of had a problem with that. Also, before that, yeah, I know I'm going to come up with basically every year, but
Yeah.
obviously the tail end of the Lance era, with God, what was that guy's name? Ram something. The Cobra, that guy, and the super Michael Rasmussen.
Oh yeah, Rasmussen.
Those two were just like, no.
Oh yeah. No, I know who you're talking about. I blank in his name.
I'll think of it anyway. So in pro news, another one is last week at Tour of Flanders. We had another instance of a train crossing gate and signal going down, and riders going underneath it while in process, which is highly illegal. In the sport, you're not supposed to do that. There's supposed to be sanctions. The race officials then neutralized the race in an effort to make it fair again. People will argue it wasn't, and yet it seemed as though everybody important was still in it because Van der Poel was caught by it, but Pogacar was up the road, and those two ended up going for the win at the end. Unless I'm mixing up my races, I think that's how that went, if I remember it correctly. So obviously it didn't have that much of an impact, but it turns out, a lot of people complained about it after the fact. They're throwing around the idea of sanctioning, but now apparently local officials are looking at criminal sanctions to file against all those that went under the signal. Quick hot take for 5 minutes. What are your general thoughts in that, in terms of not this specific example, but running that crossing when the signal is lit? If you can get across it and continue, is that all fair in sports? Or is it, they really need to make it a thing that they stop, slow down, and, neutralize themselves?
I'll give my quick, I know nothing opinion. My advice, or what I would say is, they went ahead and they broke the law, or broke the rules, or bent the rules, or whatever you want to call it, right? So in that moment, if you're a race official and you know two riders or however many riders did that, just pull them from the race. You're done. Don't fine them. Don't criminally charge them. Just pull them from the race. We don't care who you are. Example's got to be made out of somebody. Pull them out of the race. You're done. Sideline. You're out. Get in the car. Go home. And then everyone else that obeyed it, now you are in the lead. Proceed. What's wrong with that? How is it a criminal charge?
Because you're literally crossing an active signal.
Right. It's like running a red light. You'll
Exactly.
get a ticket. Right, but
Exactly.
you're not going to get thrown in jail for running a red light.
I think that's what they mean by their criminal charge, is that basically they're going to get a citation.
At least in America. At least in America, anyway.
Well, no one cares in America.
Right. The downside is if they made the decision too late and they got blasted into pink mist, that's their fault. They're gone anyway. There's no coming back from that. But my opinion is, if you break the law and it's noticed by the officials or the commissaires or whomever's in the race, you're done. Out.
It's just I don't
Simple
disagree.
solution.
I don't disagree. At the same time, I know they were sitting there going, okay, well, who's up the road? And it's Remco, Tade, and some of the favorites are already up the road, and they're kind of like, well, I'm not going to disqualify them from Flanders just because they ran. We'll figure it out on the back end. But I totally agree. I think it's start line. I don't care who you are. You pass it, you're out of the race. You were told now.
Then at any of the races any of us have ever done, before the start, there's rules.
Yeah.
Right? We're given rules. We're given parameters. You do that at those races and make it abundantly clear to the entire professional field. If you do this, you will be removed from the race. No ifs, ands, or buts. You're done. And we may even fine you, given the severity.
I agree with that. And at the same time, if you are racing anything, domestically here in the U.S., in general or specifically in our area, and you disobey a signal like that, yeah, no, it's not worth it. There isn't a single race around here that's worth it. Just check up.
No,
You're not going to win the race by doing that.
no,
Leah?
not at all. Yeah, what are your thoughts, Leah?
Um, that's a tough one.
Do
I
tell.
kind of like no, no, no. Something just seems like, first of all, why it should be like known by all that this is an absolute hardcore no-no. So is there inconsistency on how that rule has been applied in races?
Sounds like it.
Because it's surprising to me that they even did that, because they should have known this. They're not newbies.
Right.
So this is where I have a tendency to like to step back and look at the big picture and think, is this a situation where they've done all these races in the past where it was they got away with it, and even though and it was looked the other way and all this stuff and inconsistent, all of a sudden now we're going to get, like, when you say criminal charges, it sounds like thrown in jail,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I would hope that that's not what we're talking about. Should they be fined? Absolutely. But I think there needs to be consistency in how that's applied. And I think consistently at 100% should be, if you do this, you're out of the race. Like you said, Tim,
yeah.
the fact that they even did it makes me think that it's like, if you get in trouble for doing something, and it's like, I just got in trouble for doing something, but you've let me do that all these times in the past, and you
Yeah.
you didn't say anything, or you let all those people do it in the past. So I assumed that maybe it was going to be looked the other way because you have done this in the
It
past.
This isn't the
There needs
first
to be
time it's happened,
consistency.
and
No,
Yeah.
they
it's happened
have
many times before.
they have tried enforcement before, and they have made it a big deal before. If you go back to the old uh, Tom Boonen era,
Oh, they
there was
used to
some
do it all the
very
time.
egregious crossings, and they
Yeah.
did
Right.
make it a point, and
I
they
mean,
did all sorts of
don't don't
enforcement.
they don't they neutralize and reestablish the gaps when
That's
this
what they were. That's
happens?
what they tried to do. But there's a lot of people that claim that you know then you've basically changed the outcome of the race when you do that, because
So what?
Yeah.
you take people that have a momentum and you crush that momentum both in front and behind.
Sucks. But when you got protesters laying in the middle of the road, when you've got the train, I mean, lots of things can happen to
Yeah.
neutralize a race, and it happens.
So in other words, the stance it seems like they're taking in this is that whatever the UCI or the race officials decided to do wasn't enough. Therefore, the local government is going to throw criminal sanctions at it, um, for whatever reason, just as a really this needs to stop kind of move. Are you for or against that?
I mean, something's got to be done. If that's the if that's how they
Yeah.
gotta if that's how they gotta try to rectify the situation, it's a feeble attempt, in my opinion. But at least they're trying. I mean,
Yeah.
I go back to what I was saying and what Lee agreed with. Just yank him out of the race. Yeah, if I was a team manager and my star rider did that, I would I would be so furious at them. I would find them myself and probably sit them because number one, you're the current world champion. You are going to be on TV any second or the majority of the race, no matter if you're taking a piss or you're winning. Um, so all eyes are on you, right? And all your eyes are on you. All eyes are on the brands we're partnered with. You're setting a bad example for everybody we're partnered with by doing what you're doing. And for the next generation, you're making it look like it's okay to do. I'd
Yeah.
find
I
you
mean,
myself. I'd find you myself.
yeah. It sounds like the race officials, like, they needed to be harder right in the moment.
Yeah. But it's always after the fact. After the fact.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess that's getting to the thing. I don't like this whole after the fact thing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, how many times in other grand tours and other things dude gets pulled from the race for missing the trash zone for 5 meters by 5 meters. He's outside of the trash zone by 5 meters, and he gets pulled in the race.
That, I mean, in fairness, that's always done after the fact. That's, they wait until the evening, they review everything, and then they make a decision, a reasoned decision. I would say that cycling is, while many sports can make the decision at the time, and in the crux of it, I don't think cycling lends itself well to that model. In that, as we know, it can be very spread out. Officials aren't necessarily fully centralized, although they can talk to each other on the radio. Sometimes some things need to be reviewed, and sometimes the information that's needed is on different cameras, different feeds that they don't even have access to until later in the day.
Well, I guess
So I don't mind decisions after the fact, but you'd like to see anything that could be a possible relegation or a change in the podium to take place within an hour or two, after the actual event ended.
Yeah, I didn't, you have to, like you said, Rob, you have to go back through all these different footages and conversations and whatnot to see basically if there was intent to do or to commit the crime, right? And if it's deemed that it was done with intent or something was done maliciously, then yeah, there should be a fine or a suspension or whatever that follows. But it's just it seems like, if two-star riders like that in the professional peloton are doing something like that, that's fully intentional.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I didn't see it. I didn't see it happen.
Or
I just
or
heard
they
about
just
it.
have really bad impulse control,
Yeah, could be. But
which could land you in jail someday. That's my 2 cents.
I mean, fine Tade whatever you want. He's probably got that much cash in his wallet at the moment
Yeah.
or in his saddlebag.
What I wouldn't give to be Tadej Pogac's saddlebag. That sounds weird. Anyway, moving on to next weekend, we do have our Barry-Roubaix. I say our, it's Barry-Roubaix. We'll do an episode next week to cover kind of what happened at Rough Road, and then kind of a preview into Barry-Roubaix. But any 1 week out advice, thoughts, anything for heading up to Barry?
I haven't even thought about it yet, and I'm racing it. I'm just focused on tomorrow.
I got to be honest, I haven't thought about it either.
I respect that. Why confuse yourself? Start thinking about Barry, and then all of a sudden you put your Barry setup on your rough road bike, and it's like, oh, what am I doing? It's too confusion.
I'm only mentioning it because we're at 48 minutes and I'm out of topics.
Well, we could drum something else up. Keep your brains cooking while we're talking about this. I will not be at Barry this year. I slacked on registration and when registration opened, I was in this like meh kind of phase. So I've done it quite a few times. I did actually. I once I was like, I should do it. I thought about doing the shorter distance on a mountain bike and just because it seems
Ripping it.
well, not even ripping it, just like it seems like it'd be hard to do. Either the 36 or even, if you got the legs to do the longer one, but just a different experience. But yeah, that sold out in what, like 5 hours, if that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great race. It makes sense.
It seemed, to that end, it seemed as though I can't say attendance is better or worse or anything like that because it's always limited and it always seems to fill up. So attendance is theoretically the same. But it seemed like interest was healthy this year. It didn't seem like they were trying to advertise out and farm out, getting the last few entries to close certain fields or anything. I mean, it filled up.
I feel like that's a race that's never going to have to like create new marketing schemes.
I would say never, but yeah, they do a good job.
The veterans that have been doing it since day one know what an awesome event it is. And that community that's up there in Michigan knows what an awesome event it is, as well as many of the surrounding states. We all know what a great event it is. And they're just passing that along to the next generation of, quote unquote, gravel racers and what a great event it is. I mean, you got a guy like Ian Boswell who just did it. I think last year or 2 years ago was his first time, and he was like, "Man, I can't believe I've been missing this event for this is the first time I'm doing it." So that speaks credit to everything they put into that event. It's a big bike party.
Yeah, I would say it's you know, people feel free to correct me if you think I'm wrong, but I would say it's up there um, with being one of the best events in the country.
It's one of
Uh,
the best and one of the biggest.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yet it's not a lifetime Grand Prix event. It's not one of those. It just is what it is, and it's really good at being what it is. I spent many years not going to it, and I started going to it in the not too. I think I've gone to three, two or three of them. I've done three of them so far, I think. And for us, it's a great chance to get away, like a mini vacation, a couple days where we're out of the state, we're hanging with friends, and I can take it serious or I can take it easy. One of the two. So I like the environment of it. I like getting away, and I like doing it. So it's a nice little break. If you haven't done it, I highly encourage you to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I have a piece of advice. This is
Go for it.
more catered to, again, the newer crowd. Uh, and I would almost put myself in that bucket because I've only, like you, I've only done it 3 times, but I'm obsessive enough and been in the game enough to know to do my homework in advance and figure things out. If you don't have that luxury, you're not obsessive, and this is your first time, go enjoy it. Don't have any expectations, right? Go enjoy the experience, go enjoy the course, go enjoy all the cheering that's along the way for all the racers out there, no matter what distance you're doing, the party afterwards, the build up before it, the networking with your team and your friends, and the fun times you can have, and then come back next year with a game plan and do your homework well in advance as far as bike setup, tire setup, blah, blah, blah. Just go and enjoy yourself this time.
I
Figure it all
highly
out.
agree with that.
Figure it all out with one iteration under your belt for the next year.
Yeah, Matt Rusek, Triple X, been talking to him quite a bit and ride with him here and there. And he has been training for this. He's never done it. He's been training for it pretty much nonstop, with an eye on it as one of his, early season big events. And I keep, I'm he's in really good form. He's going to have a good experience being out there, and I wish him the best.
Short course, long course, or short. I mean, okay, 100K, not the cycle killer, 100
Yeah.
miler.
So, with that in mind, I wish him the best. I'm sure he'll have a lot of fun doing it. I've been trying to kind of communicate. Maybe I'm wrong in doing this, but I've been trying to communicate to him that it's that you have just stone cold killers coming out and doing that 100K,
I was
and to
just
keep
gonna
that
talk
in
about
mind.
Yeah,
And
yeah. If I can
that.
pass on a piece of advice to him, sorry to cut you off, Rob.
Go ahead.
Um, I don't know you, Matt. Rob knows you. That's good. I'm psyched for you. I'm glad you're doing this. Do not try to go with the pointy end of the race on the Three Sisters. You will blow yourself up and suffer dearly for the remainder of the event.
I will
Rob,
say that.
like you said, Rob, stone cold killers
Yeah.
in that field.
I will
Stone
say that
cold
the
killers.
first time I ever did it, I hit the Three Sisters and I was blown up for the rest of the event.
Yeah.
I'd say last year when I hit it, I got over the Three Sisters with no problem, and probably the fastest I've ever gotten over them.
Yeah.
But I still maintain, like you, if you don't know how to throttle yourself correctly on
Yeah.
the Three Sisters, you can blow your engine for the day.
You will be exposed early and it will be a miserable ride for the rest of the time. Find the group, let the people that are passing you pass you. Eventually they will stop passing you. Guess what? That's your group for now. Calm down, regroup, ride away from that group if you can. Find another group. Just play your day like that. Don't have any hero ambitions.
Especially because the Three Sisters is so early, you really are not warmed up. You've got enough circulation going, and you are warm, so it's not like it's a cold start slap in the face. But your engine isn't into long distance, get this done
Well,
racing mode.
do you know where he seated himself? What group did he seat himself with?
He told me. I cannot remember.
Self-seating.
Yeah, I cannot remember. I don't want to get it wrong. It was, if I remember, I think it was higher than I thought that maybe he should have gone for his first time doing it. But I don't think he's going to be necessarily incorrect in speed and handling or any of that. So I think he's going to be okay. But, time will tell. I'll get his
Well,
input.
one thing's definitely going to either happen. Either he's going to go forward or he'll go backward.
Yeah. Speaking of seeding, this year I chose wave number 2 because the previous year I did wave number 3, and I really did feel like it kind of got in my way on more than one occasion.
Nice.
But I don't have the fitness. I am in worse shape than last year, so I think it may be a waste for me to be in wave 2, but we will see. Then again, there's a part of me that is kind of like, you know what, who cares? I'm going to go out and I'm just going to dump everything and not hold back. And if I blow up, I blow up. I don't care.
It's like sagging a hill climb. You get to the front before the hill starts, and then you just start to go a
Yeah.
little bit backwards.
Yeah.
You're starting up front. If you go back, you go back. Just take care of yourself and your equipment and get to the finish line.
And I know enough to stay out of other people's ways. So unlike the vast majority of the people that are there at that event.
Well, it really, I mean, Barry-Roubaix really does run the gamut of participants from
Yes.
your elite of elite to your newest of new.
Yes.
And
which is great.
Yeah, it is. And on every iteration of bike you could imagine.
I do like it. It is great. I don't like being that guy that's like, oh, these people are always in the way, when they're spread out all the way across the road. But there are a few moments where you're just like, all right, come on, man.
That's common sense.
They have signs everywhere. If you're a slower rider, keep right. The only problem is everybody has main character syndrome and no one thinks that they're a slower rider. And it's like sometimes you want to go by and find a gentle and reassuring way and positive way of saying, when they say slow rider, they mean you move over to the right, but there's no real nice way of saying that. So I don't.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I know, Tim, you just yell at them and, I get it.
No,
on your left.
I have tamed down. Like, I give you opportunities. I give you chances. I can't yell any louder. If I yell 4 times and you don't hear me, I don't know what to do. Maybe take the speaker off your handlebars.
Right. Yeah. It's because they're in their own world and live in their own, like I said, main character life, which is great for them.
The earbuds you're not supposed to ride with. Maybe take those out.
It's a bit of ragbri, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Take Tour de France and bike touring and mix them together. That's kind of what you get out there.
I mean, I will say if you are in that situation where you're a faster rider approaching a slower group, choose the side of the road you want to pass on and stick to it. And just be aware that people can change their line.
Agree. Leah, your hand was up.
Oh, sorry, Leah. I was.
What do you got?
No, I didn't want to interrupt the Barry talk until you guys got it all out of your system because there was just something I wanted to touch on.
I'm not even doing it. Why would we talk for it so long? Go ahead.
So, some very, very, very recent developments. If any of our listeners are a Category 4 or novice female, or if you know any Category 4 or novice females or any women in your life that you think would be interested in trying criterium racing this year, the Triple X racing team puts on a series of practice criteriums in the city at LaBaugh Woods. And this year, they always have a women's night. It's the second to last night of them. But they also have a couple nights that are clinic nights and stuff like that. But this year, we've been trying to figure out how we get more women to come in general in terms of participation. So there is going to be the offer of a free entry into one of the grit races for Cat 4 novice if you attend 3 practice crits. And in addition to that, in the grit series, which is towards the end of July, the Category 4 novice women's will run the entire week, and the final day in Fulton Market is going to get the same world championship hype with it that they have done traditionally for the novice men world championships. So
That's
that's a
rad.
bunch of really exciting stuff. I've been
Yeah.
chatting with Jim Phelan over at Triple X and Marco from Grit, and we're really excited to try to get pump a little excitement. So I would really love to see some women. I'm going to try to get to as many of the LeBaugh crits as I can. I will be there primarily to serve as a mentor to any women that are interested in it and maybe run a hot lap or two myself. So I just wanted to get that word out there. Watch out for social media posts from Triple X. Go to Triple X, check out their website if you want information, or email here to what is it? roadisdead@gmail.com.
All one word.
Yes. If you have
Nice.
questions that I can get you pointed in the right direction, because I am getting somewhat involved in grit this year, and just really want to try to make that barrier to entry, whether it's nerves or just not sure what to do, or we'd really like to have a buddy show up and walk you through it the first day at your race at grit, whatever, just want to put that out there. So if you are father to cousin of uncle brother, I don't, just, and you think, this I have this woman that loves to ride, and she's just kind of a little hesitant because it's an intimidating sport to get into. We're really trying to help get that support out there. So
That's
Also,
awesome.
I do want
especially
to. We wanted to talk about this in the last episode, but it was one of these. There's a lot up in the air. I have been privy to listening to some of the meetings as Leah takes some conference calls here in the shop, and I know people think that race promoters just kind of make their decisions in a vacuum and just run. There is so much planning that goes into it and so much consideration. And the bottom line is every promoter in every event really wants people to have fun and make the best use of the time and the course and be as welcoming to so many people as possible and still have a great event that's very entertaining and worthwhile for those that participate. I know whenever you make a list of categories, if you have 10, there'll be 4 or 5 others that people will complain aren't there or complain that there were changes in. But I really saw you guys go through the development of what exists now, and I have a good appreciation for it. So
yeah, and there are going to be some changes in the Grit series this year. Notably, there is going to be a Masters men's category 4 or 5 race in the first half of the series. That is going to be its own mini series. There is going to be a split mini series first half of the series, category 3 4 for women, which traditionally they've never had. The second half of the week will be category 2 3 combined with masters 40 plus women in their own 5-day mini series. So there's some changes up, so don't assume that the schedule is going to be as it always has been. There's going to be some changes, so it should be getting announced and coming out pretty soon. And I believe registration's looking to open for Grit on the 18th, so it should be coming out pretty soon.
yeah, got about a week, guys, gals, theys, thems, everybody. Outside of that, I did want to hit this real quick. It's officially unofficial, unofficially official. I don't know. But we have solid word. We've known this for a while, at least in the grumblings, rumor wise. Trek CX Cup is not going to happen this season. So it is out for this year. That word was carried down through the Wisconsinites that we are all very good friends with. But per an email, as of now, our discussions are being WICX, so Wisconsin Cyclocross Series. As of now, our discussions with the race promoter, there will be no Trek CX Cup this year, nor a UCI race at Englewood Farms. Englewood is back, however, on the local series schedule. Trek does hope to bring back the race next year. So that's where that is. I know it's already been in discussions for a couple weeks in some of the planning emails that we have going around in the cyclocross community, as well as texting and banter amongst most of us. But I think everybody who went last year had a really good idea that maybe that wasn't going to happen again this season. We were quite surprised it happened last season. Very happy about it, but quite surprised. And then, if you're familiar with the current state of the industry and or the rumors or current state of how Trek is doing, this shouldn't be a huge surprise for you. I think it was one of their largest expenditures for events and marketing, still on their budget. So, if you're going to save money for that and put it towards paying some salaries, I'm all for it. I miss the event, but I care about the people a little bit more.
Should have went. Did you see the article or the articles, I should say, that CX Airs did about the state of cyclocross in America?
That was shared with me. It's on Substack. I
Yeah,
don't understand Substack or any of this or that, and I'm not subscribed to whatever. So no, it's been
it's
people have
interesting.
talked to me about it, but I have not
Yeah.
read it.
It's very
It's
So
interesting.
interesting, Tim. Did you fill out, Tim, the survey?
I
Yeah.
want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
No.
Basically, it sounded like the consensus was that the number of people out there, that there's still a healthy quantity of people
Yeah.
racing cyclocross, but it's shifted its demographics, is more heavily weighted now in the older masters
Yeah.
groups
Yeah.
and more widely distributed amongst a larger array of grassroots races.
Yeah. Yeah. That I did know. What he kind of said to piggyback off what Leah said is the sport is aged. It's not
yes,
it's not as useful as it has been. The key demographics, like Leah said, are the older ones. And they also touched on, um, you know, does nationals even matter anymore?
Hmm.
There's a little bit of that. So, if you have the ability to go onto the Substack, or I just get the unpaid version through my email, and usually I just kind of skim through it. But this one was actually kind of nice because he Bill Shiken put out an initial blast, and then he went back and reneged some of the stuff he said or refined some of it, came out with a second version, did a podcast with Meyerson about it, then went and, like, this last edition of his information, he gave us all the numbers and all the data. So it's quite an interesting read if you are someone that is into cyclocross or just into sport that trends in a certain direction.
Hmm.
It's pretty interesting, but yeah, the consensus was that nationals really
Yeah.
doesn't hold the same weight that it used to for
I
several
actually
reasons.
answered the survey, and one of the
Nice.
questions in there was asking about nationals.
Yeah.
And I went to my first nationals in 2007.
Yeah.
I've been either racing or attending national championships for a very, very long time, 20 years almost. So I've seen the huge change in it.
Yeah.
I think that nationals, and I hate to say this, has started to feel like a desperate money grab by USA Cycling,
Just look at the
because
entry
you're
fee. It's
getting,
ridiculous.
it's the entry fees, you're getting nickel and dime for everything, for wristbands and
Yeah.
perking and
Yeah.
everything. And that is not what a national, if you want a quality national championship competition, it needs to be accessible to as many people as possible.
I was
At
laying.
least your many higher end, you want those people. Otherwise
Yeah.
it's a competition of the people that were wealthy enough to go.
Yeah. 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 I was thinking about this when I was laying in bed this morning, kind of before I got out, and I was just thinking about kind of some snippets of the article and just this quote unquote money grab that USAC puts towards all the national events. It's not just cyclocross; it's every national championship for every
Yeah.
discipline. If you look at the entry fees, they are astronomical. That right there is a barrier to entry. A barrier, think about the parents that want their kids to progress in sport and want them to get to the higher level or race the higher level competition, but can't afford, number one, the hundred and whatever dollars it is to enter the event, the parking, the wristbands, the this, the that, the swag that the kids are going to want, the lodging, the travel, the food. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to do an event that maybe a junior gets maybe 30 minutes in their
Yeah.
event. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Um, Even from my perspective as a competitive masters athlete, every time I go, I'm going under the assumption that, hey, I got a shot at this thing. You know,
Mhm.
don't you could come away with it if you race well. I've been fortunate to do that, and I've been unfortunate. But I still have the opportunity, and I'm still can afford to make it happen. Do I have to recoup those losses financially throughout the course of the next 12 months? Of course I do, because it's an expensive dump. Unless you have, team support, financial support, whatever. It's a costly expense to go to nationals, and that's why we're seeing small, in my opinion, smaller numbers.
Right. And because you have smaller numbers, because of all those reasons, it devalues that
Yes,
jersey.
yes, 100% correct, Leah. 100%. The only,
So,
the only, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just thinking they need to figure out a way to, if they need to make it less expensive and more inviting, you want more people to come, you want more competition at your national championships.
Yeah, I think they have to work to find a balance. If you're gonna put it in a location where whatever corner of the country you want to put it in, or it's centrally located, if you're gonna want people from all across the country to travel to your event, make it affordable. Make it affordable. Across the country, what are local entry fees for a local entry, for a day of racing? Make it similar to that, or maybe just a little bit more. I mean, I
Right.
understand that there's costs that go into putting on an event, and they have to get their money back some way. I don't know. I don't know how in the green they are at the end of these events. I don't know if they're in the red, the black, whatever. But yeah, it just seems like
It's
a cash grab.
from what I remember of my time in USA Cycling, they're extremely expensive events to put on national championship wise. They have a special team specifically for them, and
Yep.
uh, and at the same time, from what I remember, is kind of explained to me that they don't even break even on them as it is now. This is quite a few years ago, and I will say that yeah, everything has gotten more expensive. At the same time, I remember my thinking was if you're not even breaking even on them and they're as expensive as they are, then maybe it's time to change them. And
Or, hey, how much does an athlete going to the Olympics pay to register and enter that race?
Yeah.
They
Right.
don't. It's subsidized by the country that is sending you wants you to go,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That is right.
I don't think the national championships should be a moneymaker. I think it needs to be subsidized by the
yeah.
organization,
I,
the
I,
national organization. But
You know what I would love to see, and this is something that goes back to, my roots in BMX and some other sports work this way. A national champion should be someone that's the most consistent throughout. Doesn't just show up on one day. Like
yeah, I don't disagree with that, but I think that
we
the,
have no series.
I think that, well, yeah, I think to your point, there needs to be a series. That would be great. Um, I think that national championships have taken this position of we don't have the USGP anymore. We're losing UCI races in our World Cups. We're getting to the point where you cannot challenge yourself at a regional or national level with higher level competition without going to national championships. As a result, because it's filling that need, instead of being the showcase event that's super expensive that happens, whatever, I would like to see it step down a few notches and be more realistic and just be like, okay, this is an opportunity that needs to be within almost everyone's grasp. If you can afford the travel and the hotels, you should be able to get into the race and really make the most of it. If that means it becomes more of a grassroots event, as long as the course is a stellar course, you can have a stellar course and have it be grassroots prices, and still have it pay for itself, unless you're just overcharging for, to bust even. They have a very large crew that goes out there, spends a hell of a lot of time setting everything up. Maybe that could be curtailed a little bit. You'd hate to say, I want to see us go backwards in terms of the level of production. But if that's what it takes to bring the cost back in line with what it is, then maybe that's what it takes. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Time to wrap this one up. Thanks for joining us. Once again, hopefully you're going to go out to Rough Road and or Barry or whatever in the next 2 weeks. If you have any ideas, swing them our way. Email roadisdead@gmail.com. I still see a lot of communication from a lot of people coming through different ways of communicating. So I don't have a nice, easy way of summarizing them to cover in the podcast. I was given one opinion on me training with AI, basically to go to Trainer Road and give that a shot, and was told I would probably really like it a lot. So we will see moving forward. But things to consider in the next week. Hopefully everybody's having fun and get out there and enjoy the ride.